Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and it is Saturday, so I'm here with another slasher review as part of the TheHORROmans Slashback Slasher Challenge series. And this week's theme is anchor-based slashers. I think this theme is an absolutely awesome one. Fantastic idea, Joe. So what this means is we're to review a slasher film that was released by Anchor Bay. Now, I'm sure most of you old school horror collectors are pretty familiar with the Anchor Bay label because they were really big in the sort of mid to early to late 2000s even. Not so much anymore, but back in the day, especially when I started collecting for horror pretty seriously, they were definitely one of the main labels. So yeah, they are a fantastic label. So I'm going to be reviewing Mountaintop Motel Massacre. So this is the Anchor Bay release that I have for this movie. It was one of their drive-in double features, so this one also has The Initiation and of course Mountaintop Motel Massacre, which I will be reviewing. These sets are awesome. I'm sure you OG collectors out there will be familiar or at least remember these editions or these sets. So there's the Anchor Bay logo there on the spine and on the back. However, that is not the copy that I watched for this review, but I wanted to show it since it is the Anchor Bay release. I ended up watching the 88 Films Blu-ray for this review. So yeah, Mountaintop Motel Massacre, the plot's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It centers around Evelyn Chambers, who has spent a little bit of time in a mental asylum. She has since returned to her motel that she runs, and it is a wet and stormy night. Guests start arriving to seek refuge out of the storm, and of course Evelyn starts killing off these people one by one. So that is pretty much the storyline. There's not really much more to it. So now we'll move on to my thoughts on Mountaintop Motel Massacre. I really enjoy this one. It's a really good slasher and definitely a really solid entry into the early 80s slasher genre for sure. So first and foremost, we'll talk a little bit about the location, which is definitely one of my favourite things about this movie. So I love the setting, and the setting is kind of unique, and this is really what makes this movie so good for me, is it has a lot of unique qualities that kind of set it apart from other slashers, but then it also has that really familiar feel as well, if that makes sense. But yeah, the location is awesome. It's sort of set in the middle of nowhere in this rural setting on a mountaintop motel, which I think is really cool. Now the rooms are kind of run down. You know, it looks like the motel hasn't really been looked after too well, but again, that definitely makes for the setting, for the location. And this one has a lot of good atmosphere. The setting and the location is, in my opinion, really creepy. In fact, a lot of this movie is really creepy. And I love the fact that it was set in really bleak, stormy, rainy weather. It just adds to the overall movie and the location and the setting perfectly, I thought. So yeah, I absolutely love the location within this film. The characters are all really good, and again, kind of unique compared to a lot of other slashers from this era, because a lot of the other slashers really focused on young teenage characters, whereas in this movie, the characters are all adults, and they're pretty mature adults as well, which I thought worked really well. I love the casting, I love the characters within this film. They all work extremely well. There's not really any stupid characters. They're all pretty smart and intelligent, which again, I always like. And yeah, just really solid characters. And the acting is really good as well. I thought Evelyn was a pretty awesome killer. Especially for her age. Again, a pretty unique thing for this time period, although definitely had a familiar feel too, because I could see a lot of similarities between Evelyn and Pamela Voorhees. But yeah, I thought Evelyn was a really, really good killer. She was extremely creepy, and her character worked really, really well. The other thing that I really enjoyed a lot about this movie was the fact that Evelyn had this underground tunnel between all the rooms, and she had these little trapdoors going into the different rooms where people were staying. I really, really liked that. I thought that was really, really awesome. So yeah, that was really cool too. This one also had really, really good music. Really, really eerie, creepy, and suspenseful music, which definitely worked for the tone of this movie. Now, this is kind of a slower slasher, so you definitely have to rely a lot on the creepy aspects of the movie, the characters, and the music, and I think it definitely worked really, really well. But that's when also one of my issues come in. Pretty much the only issue that I really have with this movie is definitely the kills. Now, this is a pretty slow-paced slasher, and most of the kills don't really happen till the last part of the film, which didn't really ruin the movie for me, because as I said, it definitely had a really, really creepy vibe, and I was never bored throughout. However, I would have preferred if the kills had been a little bit more spaced out and a little bit better paced throughout the film, rather than leaving the majority of them towards the end of the film. I will say though, surprisingly for this sort of movie, the kills did look pretty good. Evelyn basically just uses a sickle for the most part, and it's a pretty cool weapon. My favourite kill is definitely the sickle through the mouth. That looked really, really good. The gore's sort of more on the basic side of things, but the kills do look pretty good throughout. But yeah, I just kind of wish that the kills had been a little bit more spaced out throughout the entire film, rather than kind of leaving them all to the end of the film. But that is really my only issue with Mountaintop Motel Massacre. Other than that, I think it is a really, really solid entry into the early 80s slasher genre. As I said, the location is awesome. It's very, very atmospheric. There's some good suspense, and the characters are really, really good as well. So if you haven't seen this one, if you haven't seen Mountaintop Motel Massacre, I definitely highly recommend this one. Really, really good slasher. So there you go, guys. If you have seen this one, please let me know what you think of it in the comments section below. And that is it for this week's review. So I hope you have enjoyed this week's Slashback slasher review, Mountaintop Motel Massacre. And yeah, that is it for this video. I hope everyone is staying well and safe out there. I hope you've enjoyed my review, and thank you for watching.